fact that you were setting out to do a documentary and then it became about the performance. Oh, thank you, there it was right there. And then it's...
Booyah!
And then it's about performance. It's like you've got 2 movies in one. And so tell me, what is the genesis of that process?
Well, you know, we sort of looked at it as 3 acts. So we have the history of the studio, and then there's the discussion of technology. What's up, Becca? And then the performance. And the idea with the performance was, you know, you can talk about collaboration and human element and feel and tempo and all that stuff till you're blue in the face. But if you actually see people playing and doing it, a demonstration of it is a lot easier to understand than someone giving you some technical description of how to play behind the beat or something. All you really have to do is watch it happen. And so we looked at the performance portion at the end as basically giving good examples of everything that we had discussed in the beginning of the film. And it was, you know, there was so much more to this movie than just the history of the albums that were made there. There was the discussion of technology, there was the personal connection. More than anything, I think the reason why the movie's gone way beyond, it's gone so much farther than I ever thought it would, because we really focused on the relationships between people. So Siobhan, studio manager, Nebraska Linux, and the Skeeters, and if it weren't for those people, you wouldn't have had those albums. So I think that the more you break it down, the more people realize that, oh yeah, music is just a bunch of people making it happen, you know? And that's one of the great things about Sound City.
So you got, it seems like everybody that you wanted to talk to, you were able to talk to. Did you guys say no?
Pat Benatar, man, she wouldn't do it. I was like, I was so bummed. I wanted her so bad, I know. She just, I don't know, man. It's like, Neil Young was the first guy, like, hey, I'll do it, we'll jam, and it'll be great. I'm like, oh my God, we got Neil Young, we can get everybody else. And then like, I was begging for Pat Benatar. So, that's fine.
Well, and you know, the whole part, I love the whole Buckingham next Fleetwood Mac game, and it's such an amazing Genesis story. Do you think any other studio ever had that kind of experience of like making a band?
Absolutely.
I mean, so how often is that?
Well, I mean, you know, what you have to understand is that these places are just rooms, you know, and people come together in these rooms to make history. And for whatever reason, recording studios aren't considered as historically relevant as like a Civil War site in Bull Run, Virginia, you know. But to me, they're just as important because like you've got the basement of Capitol Records in Los Angeles where Sinatra recorded every song you've probably ever heard him sing. You've got a place like East West or Electric Lady or Sound City, wherever. These are rooms where people have come together to make music. And that music has inspired generations of children to change the world. So I don't understand why these places aren't as important as some of these other places. It's kind of become my life mission to try to figure out how to make that happen. So, but, you know, there's this misconception, I think, with little kids, and I'm the same way. When I was young, I had a Kiss poster, and I'm like, wow, they're not even real people. This is cool. But, you know, at some point you have to understand that what I do and what all of these people do is entirely available to you. You just have to be focused and passionate and driven enough to really devote your life to doing it. Some people are way better than others. You know, Paul McCartney walks into the room and all the instruments just go, yeah! But I think it's important for, especially kids, to realize that all it takes is a yard sale with a guitar. And then your buddy's got his older brother's drum set. And then you clear out the garage. And then you get together after school. And you start writing these stupid songs. And then you play your friend's cake party. And you suck. And then you become Nirvana. That's how it works. That is exactly how it works. So, you know, when you look at Fleetwood Mac, I mean, you just imagine Fleetwood Mac like descended from heaven and became the best band ever. When really, like, Stevie Nicks was scrubbing the fucking toilet in that place, and that's just how it goes. So I think it happens in studios all over the world.
And we just need somebody else to tell those stories, because this is the first time we've seen something like that. You know, the archival stuff, the photos, especially from the 70s, was that in their files?
We had to dig, man. You know, my favorite was the Fleetwood Mac studio pictures, because like someone would send you a picture and then be Stevie Nicks in this like beautiful dress and like her hair is perfect and her makeup is on and she looked so beautiful, and you're like, wow, was that from an album cover shoot? And I'm like, no, that was like Tuesday night in the studio. Fleetwood Mac would get dressed up to be in the studio, which, I mean, I don't know, it's not my world, but to all of that archival footage, everyone was so cooperative and generous with us because they all loved Sound City as much as we do, so they wanted to help us tell the story. I mean, you can imagine like all of those songs, imagine the licensing for all of that music, like Teen Spirit, Tom Petty, and all that stuff. Oh my God, if this, you know, if we were Paramount, we would have paid, it's $10 million, you know? But it was like, hi, we're making another movie by ourselves, can we have, you know, Breakdown by Tom Petty, or whatever. And everybody just let us have it, man. Everyone was so cool about it because they knew that we would do it justice. So we did.
And was it super hard to get, was it super hard to get on everybody's schedule? Because I mean, like, you had so many people.
Musicians, oh my God. Flakes. It's true, man. Don't get me started. I mean, the funniest was Neil Young, because he was the first one I called. He's the man, you know? And I called, and I'd met him a couple times. He's a great dude. He's like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And I'll come to the studio, I'll bring my rig, and we'll jam, it'll be great. I chased him for a year. He was the first guy to say yes, and the last guy to get interviewed. And it was like, I was like, you know, I mean, we got McCartney, I think we might be okay, you know? But then finally they're like, no, he really wants to do it, he's so sorry. He's got the next 5 days off, but he's in Hawaii. I was like, fuck it, let's go. We're going to Hawaii. Come on, pack up the cameras, let's go. And we did, and we flew all the way there. I mean, whatever, it could have been Pittsburgh. It was, you know, it was Hawaii. It was amazing. But everybody, it was a little tricky. I mean, you know, our intention was to finish the film in time to submit and be considered for the Sundance Film Festival. So we had this really specific deadline, like if we could just make it, and just so you guys know, I have no idea what I'm talking about right now. This is not my world at all. This is my first time doing something like this. So this is all new to me. I'm like, what's Sundance? What's that? And I'm like, oh, it's this thing in Park City. Okay, that sounds fun, let's do that. But we had to make a movie and a record, and we had to mix and master and have everything ready by this one date, and all of us worked so hard, sleepless. We didn't sleep for a year and a half. And a lot of coffee. And, okay, already are. So, yeah, I mean, it was tricky to get all the schedules together, but not impossible.
So, and you know, the writing seems like such an integral part of this, because it's like you're educating, but you're entertaining, and so, was there a long script development process for that, or?
I don't know what that means. No, I mean, the funny thing is that, okay, so my father, both of my parents were writers. My father is a speechwriter. We lived outside of Washington, D.C. He's a campaign manager. He worked on Capitol Hill. He's a brilliant dude. My mother was a public school teacher for 35 years. She was an AP English teacher, forensics coach, teachers. And she's a brilliant woman. And so when I first decided I was going to do this, I said, Mom, I'm going to make a movie. She's like, what? I said, I bought the board from Sound City, and I'm going to make a movie where I tell the story of the studio, but I'm also going to make a record with the people who I interview. And she says, okay, you know you don't start the movie by saying you have the board, right? I'm like, I don't? She goes, no. tell the story to the studio, and then when it closes, you rescue the board and invite everyone back. That was my script development. One phone call with my mother. So then, I mean, the funny thing is that she's awesome. The funny thing is that when we first started the project, I went to the art supply store and bought all this stuff, and I made a little journal. I'm a stoner. I used to be a stoner. And so I got my little journal, and I wrote out the outline of the movie in 3 acts, just exactly what I thought needed to happen, and who we should interview, and which songs we should put in, and just before Sundance, I was cleaning out my garage, and I found that journal. And the outline that I wrote the first week I had this idea was exactly the movie. So I thought, wow, this is easy. If you have a clear idea of what you want to accomplish and some sort of passionate imagination, and you don't deviate from that instinct, then you're psyched. That's all you gotta do. You know? I mean, of course, it's not that easy, I'm sure. But to me, all I had to do was just be a cheerleader to everybody. No, man, trust me. Just trust me on this one. Just put this here, it's gonna work. Or trust me, we're gonna do it. Put it in the performance in this order. Or the focus on the drum sound thing. Just narrow it down a little bit. And so in my life, I never took lessons to play the drums. I never took lessons to play guitar. I took one lesson to play the drums, and the first thing this guy said was, you're holding your sticks backwards. And I still hold my fucking sticks backwards. So the way I look at it is that you can accomplish anything that you're driven to do as long as you don't give up. And so that's what we did.
Obviously, Pro Tools is Satan. We've established
No.
that.
Don't say that.
So, are you like an island now because of
Oh,
the
yeah.
studio?
Remember that scene in Jerry Maguire where everyone's like, yeah, Killer Speech, man, and then he gets slaughtered. That's like my life right now. No, I think that, the discussion of technology is a tricky one because, there's no right or wrong. There's just no right or wrong. Yeah, I mean, you do what you do. It's your voice. Go and do what you're gonna do. There's a turntable or a guitar or a cello or Pro Tools, whatever. As long as it's an extension of your creativity or of your person, then that's what it's for, right? So to me, you can achieve the same thing in all of these ways. You just have to be comfortable and get into the human element or your own personal voice. That's why talk to Stevie Nicks or Neil Young about Pro Tools, and they're just like, it's the devil. After a while, after all these interviews, I just thought, oh my God, Pro Tools is going to sue the shit out of me. This is crazy. I'm going to get in so much trouble because everyone's saying the same thing. So then I talked to Trent. Trent is amazing. Honestly, Trent is a genius, man. He is a brilliant, brilliant musician who's classically trained. He uses technology as an instrument. So he doesn't use it to make up for things he can't do. He turns it into something that no one's done. And it's inspiring. He has that understanding and appreciation for the craft of playing music, but he also really gets into the capability of technology. And that's kind of what it's all about. I'll go out there and say like, hey, play from your heart, don't do everything in the computer. And then a bunch of DJs will be like, Dave Grohl is the devil, don't listen to him, he's wrong, whatever. But I'm not saying that, I'm just saying that as long as you're coming from here, then you're all good, Totally. Hallelujah.
I gotta say that Rick Springfield thing was really sad.
Dude, it was sad?
I thought he was gonna cry.
He did cry.
You cut the cry out?
Yeah, I texted everybody right after that, like, oh my god, Rick Springfield cried, no way! Here's the thing, is that you've got Rick Springfield, Paul McCartney, you've got Neil Young, you've got Tom Petty. Barry Manilow, dude. Oh, that dude is badass. When I got on the phone with Barry Manilow, he's like, Dave, I love what you're doing. I'll do anything for you. You just let me know. I'll be there in a heartbeat. I love you. The Foo Fighters are my favorite band in the world. You guys are the best. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's incredible. He's the nicest guy in the world. I swear to God, he's amazing. But what you realize is that all of these people are kind of the same, We really are. Like, you'd think that a legend like Stevie Nicks would come into the studio like, okay, hold on, hit record, let me do my thing. But she comes into the studio just as any other musician does. She's vulnerable. She's a little nervous. She wants to be great. She has to live up to her thing, And she can't wait to sing. She can't wait to perform and to write. She's a musician, And all of these people, I honestly think, are successful because they still come from the same place. I still think Stevie Nicks sings for the same reason she did when she was 13 years old. Same with Paul McCartney, same with Rick Springfield, same with all those people. When they walk into a room, they're like, yeah, man, let's jam. There's not a whole lot of like, let me call my publicist or whatever. It's like, we just want to play. And that's what I found kind of the most interesting, is I talked to these people, and I was terrified. I don't interview people. I never had I just would talk to them and ask them questions. And then when I got in the studio with them, I'm like, wait, they're one of us, They're musicians. And it's kind of a special breed, really complicated people that are always late.
That's one of the things that was so cool, I thought, is to see that creative process. And I love that part where they're talking about Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers trying to cut, how many times they played something, because, and that was also in the Eagles movie where they were talking about Jackson Brown, hearing Jackson Brown play in the basement. And you don't get that. When you hear the finished, polished piece.
Right. It's funny, now with YouTube, a lot of the older recordings, whether it's Queen or the Beatles or Rolling Stones, they're all being archived digitally because the tapes that they were recorded on eventually will just kind of disappear, they oxidize or whatever. So all of those old tapes are being archived digitally. And in that, you've got all these studio engineers that are taking the isolated drum track from Bohemian Rhapsody and putting it on YouTube. And I encourage everyone to go online and listen to the isolated tracks from every one of their favorite songs. Because in that, it's really fun, in that, you'll hear Paul McCartney's bass line from Hey Bulldog. You probably never really heard it before because it was a 4-track recording from 1968 or whatever. But when you listen to that bass line, it's insane. It's out of tune, and it's messy, and you can hear the speaker and the tape and everything. When you put it all together with the rest of the Beatles, it's the Beatles, man. And the isolated vocals is a good one. The isolated vocal track of David Bowie and Freddie Mercury from Under Pressure. That one's kind of going around a lot right now. Look it up. Because all you have there are two of the most incredible vocalists of all time in front of a microphone. And you hear that, and it gives you faith in humanity. You're just like, wow. It's not it's people singing about fucking love or whatever. It's so good, man. And, what was the question?
That was awesome.
Sorry, I did that.
What's in Sound City right now? What's in that?
Sound City's still a recording studio. That was my wallet. Sound City's still a recording studio. I don't know if they call it Sound City. I think they call it something else. They renovated it. So, you know, all that brown check carpet and shit is gone, and now it looks like a Ian Schrager hotel or something. The room still sounds great. There's another board in there, and it's an amazing board, but the Sound City is kind of gone, which is sad.
So would you send your board to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame at some point? Would you do that?
Man, that's mine. I paid a lot of money for that thing. But I had just assumed that that's where it would go. No, I wouldn't, because it needs to be used. It should not be in a museum. Like, that thing will outlive us all. I'm not kidding. That thing, it might seem like some archaic steam engine or something. But man, all we did was unplug it, put it in our place, and plug it back in. And it was like, wow. Yeah, that thing needs to be used. For sure.
That's good. Good to hear. I know you will, as you say, use the F out of it.
I will use the F out of it, for sure.
So of course, I know our big dilemma here is that you have to get on a plane.
I know.
And so
How far to the airport from here? How many minutes?
Not far. 10 minutes.
Oh, Oakland.
An hour and a half.
Hour and a half?
Yeah.
Hour?
Listen, they just want you to
I'm gonna do it 45.
Yeah! Woo!
But anyway.
So I was just gonna say, so it'd be great if we just take one or two quick questions, because I know we don't want to make it
It's
late.
gonna be tricky. Okay, who's got a question? Hold on. Yes, you, Nirvana guy.
Did you ever consider doing any covers for the album?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. This is one of the, you know, I was terrified. When I first had the idea of making the record, I was like, okay, now it's gonna become a challenge. I challenge you, Stevie Nicks, to come in the studio with me and write and record a song in one day. And Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, who were kind of at the tail end, I don't know if you saw it, we did that. A couple of the people did that. With Paul, I was like, man, I don't know. I don't want to say, hey, do you want to write a new song with me? Because he's a Beatle. So when I first talked to him, I'm like, yeah, come on, we'll just jam. You know, maybe we'll do like an old standard rock song or something. He was like, why? Let's write a new song and record it that afternoon. I was like, yes, sir. So that was the only time, because I didn't want to impose and say, can you help me with the greatest moment of my entire life? Yeah.
Back here.
So, I suppose Band Magazine down the street from San
Yeah.
and the Rocket, where you've been on.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to see you. My question is,
Yes.
what was it like to hug Paul McCartney?
Dude, I gotta tell you, and it's the one question I get the most. Not the hugging part, the Paul part. Paul McCartney is the coolest dude you've ever met in your entire life. Because you have to imagine that there's no one on planet Earth, a living cultural icon, like a person that's probably influenced all of us more than anyone else in the world. And when he walks into any room, it could be a pizza restaurant, it could be a stadium, everyone just goes, everyone, man. It's amazing. The beautiful thing is that he knows that, and he walks through life being the best at it. So he'll walk into a room and everyone's like, oh my God, Paul McCartney. And he'll walk right up to you and give you a hug and say, how you doing, I'm Paul. And you're just like, oh my God. And it immediately brings you down to like, wow, man. He's the best. I mean, honestly, he is the best. It's funny, I brought my kids up to Seattle to see him play over the summer. He played at a stadium. And I brainwashed my kids with the Beatles, so they love the Beatles. And so we went up to see him in the stadium, and a week later, my daughter went to go see Taylor Swift. And so she goes to see Taylor Swift, and I said, after the Taylor Swift show, I said, so, who's better, Paul or Taylor Swift? And she goes, Taylor Swift. And I'm like, he's the king of rock and roll. And she goes, yeah, but he doesn't have enough costumes.
Yes.
Awesome. Right down here. Right here, second row.
Hey,
Hi.
what's up? So I want to say, when you were doing the research for this film,
Yeah.
what surprised you the most about going back into the history and everything?
I don't really know. I mean, when I first asked them, like, hey, can I have a list of every record that was recorded there? And they were just like, that's insane. There's no way we could, that's 100,000 records. But then you would hear, like, George Harrison recorded there. Like, oh my God, he did? And Evel Knievel recorded there. Like, really? And then Charles Manson recorded there. Like, what? So there were lots of little surprises that was just like, oh yeah, there was this one day when Eddie Van Halen was there, and he gives, oh, you'll like this story, he gives the runner $70, and he goes, go get me some wine. So the runner goes out and buys this, $70 bottle of wine. He gives it to Eddie Van Halen. He's like, what the fuck is that? He's like, you gave me $70 for wine. He goes, I wanted 10 $7 bottles of wine. So, I mean, there's so many of those stories. At a place like that, too. Yeah.
All right, we have got to say goodbye to Mr. David.
Oh, I'm sorry.